Hi, everyone. Before we get going, please type the letter Y or the word yes into the questions pane, just to make sure that everybody can hear me and that you can see the title slide of my presentation there. You should see Exago Support Lab, linked reports. All right, we're getting some yeses in there, so that's good. All right, good morning and welcome to today's Exago User Support Lab from home. Today, we'll be talking about linked reports, also known as drill downs. My name is Tim Light and I'm the technical writer here at Exago. I'm happy to be here and happy to have you along for the ride. Before we dive in, I find the best way to approach labs like these is to keep the lines of communication open. If at any time you see something that you'd like me to review, or you have questions, please post them into that questions pane. I'm joined by business intelligence consultant Emma Williams of our services group, who will be answering your questions there. And Emma, if you have a really good question, please interrupt me so that everybody can benefit from the question and the answer. This support lab is being recorded and it will be available on Exago's official YouTube channel, as well as our support site, exagosupport.com, for your reference later. It should be available by the end of the day today, if not sooner. All right, so here is what we're going to talk about in today's presentation. First, we'll talk about what a linked report is, and I'll demonstrate for you how they work in the report viewer. Next, I'll show you how to prepare your environment to build linked reports, and then we'll create some linked reports together. There are 3 different ways of linking reports together, and we'll review all 3. All right, so what is a linked report? Here is the definition of a linked report from our products documentation. Linked reports are reports linked from cells or charts as a means of exploring data points by drilling down into their background data. You use the Advanced Report Designer to add them, and as I've already alluded to, they are called drill downs. So what does that really mean? Well, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a live video experience with a product expert must be worth 1,000,000,000 words. So let's take a look. We'll switch into Exago, and we're looking at a report that shows each employee in the Northwind Trading Company and their total sales revenue. I have a linked report set up on this report so that when I click on an employee's name, say Dodsworth, a new report showing all of the orders that were placed by Dodsworth will appear on the screen. So now we can see more granular detail of how each employee's sales got them to their total. Now, since this linked report is itself a report, we can drill down from it. So if I click one of the orders, say this one, we're now drilling even further down to see the detail rows of each order. This report shows what products, quantity, and price paid for each line item on the order. That's pretty cool. Now, so far, I have clicked on a report cell, but we can also drill down from charts. And so let me show you what that looks like. First, I'll close these little drill down windows, and we'll just scroll to the end of my report. And here we've got a chart. This is a simple bar chart showing the same information from the report. And so if I click on a bar for a particular employee, let's say Buchanan, that same order detail report as if I had clicked on the employee's name. And again, I can click on any order and drill down again, just like before. Now, these drill down reports, so to speak, are just that. They are advanced reports created in Exago. And because of that, I have all the same options available to me in terms of formatting, formulas, charts, sections, exporting, and so on. An additional thing I'd like to point out here is that since the detail rows are loaded in separate linked reports, that employee sales total report that we started with is taking advantage of Exago's database aggregation feature. That means that Exago is modifying the SQL statements sent to the data source and requesting it to do the order total aggregation for us before sending it to Exago. This offers a little bit of a performance gain since every single order does not need to be sent from the data source to Exago. Instead, the number of rows returned is only the number of employees. By drilling down from a single employee, I am getting the level of detail I want, but I'm only getting the amount of data I need and nothing more. Now I can link from advanced reports to other advanced reports as you've already seen, but if I'm using version 19.2 or later of Exago, I can also link to a dashboard. So that's going to be the second point that we're going to talk to. But let's take a break here for any questions. If anyone has any questions, again, please post them in the questions pane and Emma will raise them up. Because the way my screen is set up here at home, it makes it a little difficult for me to see those questions, but please post them in there. And Emma, if you see any, please shout them out. All right, Emma, I can't hear you, but I'm assuming that means everything's going smooth. Okay, so the second point I want to talk about is a new feature, as I had just mentioned, that as of version 19.2, which is the latest version out now of Exago, not only can you link to another report, but you can link to a dashboard. So I'm going to open Exago. And here, we're going to run this report. Okay, so I've got another report here that lists all of our product categories and the products in those categories. If I click on a category name, we'll be launched into the dashboard viewer. So here I'll click on beverages. And here is our dashboard. Now this dashboard contains a cross-tab report showing the total revenue for each product organized in the category, a KPI tile showing the number of products in this category, an expressive view that lists the suppliers in this category with product reorder levels, a line chart showing the number of orders placed for products in this category by date, and an interactive filter that allows me to select the country where the customer was located for the chart. Now, like a traditional linked report, for lack of a better term, the displayed results on the dashboard tiles are filtered by the clicked value from the parent report. So you'll notice that in the cross tab, all of these are beverages because I clicked on beverages. Now, even though this is a linked dashboard, I've got all the normal behavior available to me that our dashboard viewer has. For example, I can expand any tile by using the tile menu to expand, let's say, the line graph. And I can export any of these tiles as I normally would. Now, if I choose a different category, let's say dairy products, we'll see that when the dashboard runs, that the values are all different because we've linked on a different value. When drilling down into dashboards, it will always open in a new tab. The dashboards don't open in pop-ups like the other reports did. And you may also note that I mentioned that the dashboard has an expressive view on it. Here it is. When linking to dashboards, the dashboards can include any available tile type. You're not limited to linking to other advanced reports. Tiles with existing reports can include any type of report, including express views. Okay, so are there any questions about linking to dashboards? All right, Emma, if you have any good questions, feel free to please shout them out so we can get them out in the open for everybody. Okay, so now that we're familiar with what a linked report or a drill down is, let's get to the how. I need to point out here that there are some system administrator settings available in regards to enabling or disabling linked reports. And for our support lab today, we've turned all of the settings on. Now, your environment may be slightly different than what you see here, so check with your system administrator to find out exactly what is available to you. So let's get report building. We'll switch back to Exago, and we will go to our employee sales total. We'll close this out. Now, building a report drill downs requires that there be a parent report and a child report. The parent report is the first report that we see. In our examples, we've used this employee sales totals report with the staff photos on it as a parent report. The child report is one we drill down into to see the additional detail rows. Our employee sales totals has a child report that showed all of the orders that the employee placed. And that child report was also a parent to the second linked report that drilled into each order, there it is, to show what products were included. Now, there's nothing special about these parent or child reports. They are built in the regular report designer or dashboard designer, just as any other report is within the application. We establish the child-parent relationship when we link them together. I'll be showing you how to do that momentarily. When a report is linked to another, Exago essentially places a new filter on the child report that filters the child data based on the parent value. Again, taking our employee sales report, when I click on Laura Callahan's name, Exago runs the order report and places a filter on it to show only orders where the employee's ID number is that of Laura Callahan. So this is what the employee sales total report looks like in the report designer. Oh, well, I have to open in the report designer, of course. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So this is what the employee sales total report looks like in the report designer. I've got my header here. The detail row and the footer are shaded in gray because they are suppressed, which means they will not appear on the report when it's executed. Only the header will appear with the employee's information on it. And then we've got the chart here at the bottom. And I'll click Run right here in the toolbar just to prove to you that it's the same report. There it is. Now we'll also need a child report to show us the detail of each employee's orders. And I've got one pre-built here. Now this report looks similar to the employee revenue report. Now I'd like to point out something here. The page header, that's this row right here, because this is something that I think is kind of snazzy when you're building linked child reports. I mentioned before that when you drill down to a child report, a new filter is added to the child report based on some field or fields from the parent. In row 1 of this report, I have added a formula that includes the filter value function. The filter value function can be used to, as its name implies, display the value of a filter on the report. Remember in Exago that filters have 3 parts: a field, which is the data object column that we're filtering on, say, for example, employee's last name; an operator, which designates what comparison to make, for example, is equal to; and a value, which is what we're looking to match or not match with. For example, Callahan or 5. When a report is linked from a parent, the linking filters will be applied before other filters on the child report. So looking back at the formula in the header of my report, when we execute this employee orders report by clicking on a link from the parent, the value of the first filter on this child report will be concatenated with the word orders. For example, Callahan's orders or Fuller's orders. Now I'll also show you the second drill down. You'll see I did something similar in this report that shows each order's products detail. And here it will show us the order number that was clicked. All right, so that's a lot of information covered so far. So again, take a break for any questions. And Emma, if you've got any good ones, please shout them out. Okay.
Hey, Tim, we're getting some great questions over here, but the volume is a little bit higher than normal. So I'm just going to keep trying to answer people as they come in, and I'll be sure to jump in at the end once I'm at a bit of a more stable spot.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Glad to hear that there's some good questions. And at the end, maybe we can review them together. But unfortunately, my dual monitor setup is not cooperating with me today. So thank you, Emma, for taking care of everybody. And I appreciate the questions that are coming in. All right, so we'll continue on. All right, so now we're going to make a link here. All right, to link to a report, we're going to use the linked report icon in the toolbar. It's this one right here. Looks like a little chain. First, I must select a cell from which I will drill down. Now, in my example, both the first and last name fields would show the orders that were placed. So we'll just click on last name, and then I'll click on the linked report icon in the toolbar. On the first tab here, I have to select my child report that will display when I click on the employee's last name. Now, in this case, I want to show a list of employee orders. So I'll select my employee orders report. And there it is. And then I'll click OK. By just clicking OK, we are telling Exago to use its default linking behavior. That means Exago will use the closest joined data field on the child report to filter it. Exago will look at the joins in the system configuration to make this link. And I'll show you that. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll run the report. And if I click on a name, like Buchanan, we can see that linking happened by checking out the header. Remember the filter value function? Stephen Buchanan's employee ID is 5, as it's shown here by our filter value function. Exago's default linking behavior is fine in most cases, especially if you are if you're not using the filter value function. But there are some cases, though, when we might want to explicitly tell Exago what field or fields to link on instead of letting it select for us. Since I have added a link to the last name field already, a small linked icon appears in the top right corner of the cell. I can click on this icon to edit the link on the cell. This opens the linked report dialog again, and this time we'll change to the Fields tab. Now let's say instead of the default linking action, I want to link on the employee's last name. I can use this Fields tab to explicitly tell Exago what fields to link on. Now, of course, last name may not be a unique field. There could be several employees that share the same last name that work at a company. In some cases, that may be the desired effect. For our demonstration, we want this definition to include enough fields to build a unique representation of the parent item, in this case an employee, that we're looking to drill down into. I only want to see orders placed by a particular salesperson. Now in the left column are fields from the parent report. On the right are fields on the child report, and we'll select the employees category to match on. So I can add last name, first name, and hire date. This should give us a good job of making sure that I've matched one and only one employee. Okay. Now, when I run the report and I drill into an employee's sales by clicking on their last name, the resulting child report that appears would be the same as the first, but the employee's last name would appear in the header as the value for the first linking filter is the employee's last name. And in this case, although we can't see it, the second linking filter would be the employee's first name, and the third linking filter would be the employee's hire date. We could also define links where there is no join path between fields, say employee's city and shipper's city, or if the fields are in the same data object. For example, employee's ID linking to employee's supervisor. In these cases, we would use the Field tab of the Linked Report dialog to create the parent-child linked report relationship. Now, all of this information, including tables that explain how the filters propagate from parent to child, from advanced reports to other advanced reports, or to dashboards, is contained in our product documentation on our support site, exagosupport.com, in the reporting section, so check it out. So we've covered a lot of material so far. So again, I'll just take a quick break and see if there are any questions. Hopefully Emma is still afloat. All right.
Okay, hey Tim, we can
Yes,
summarize a couple of these. I'm gonna, if your question hasn't been answered yet, I'm going to get to it, I promise, but I do think it's a good time to pause and talk about some of these.
sweet.
Let's start with how do I know if I can drill down from a data field? Obviously, Exago does not apply automatic formatting indicating that this field is then clickable on the output. So we would recommend giving it an underline or coloring it blue, something that indicates to the user that that field is interactive. Similarly, for charts, the same question came in. How do I know if I can drill down from a chart? There are certain little things that you'll notice, right? Hovering it changes your cursor, indicating that you can click. But if you're concerned about your users not being able to understand that and interacting appropriately with the data, maybe something like a chart subtitle that says click for more information could give them that little push that they need.
Sure. That's a great point. Yeah, so when I hover over something that I can drill down to, you'll see the cursor changes to a little hand. And that's one way. And you'll see Emma just pointed out use some formatting to indicate what's clickable or not. You'll see that in the next example. Anything
Great.
else you got, Emma?
Yeah, I'm just scanning. I'm sorry. There's a whole bunch of good ones here. This is great. This is a feature that can be turned on and off within the admin console. We can control whether or not we're allowed to use linked reports in report design at all. Another good one, there is not a limit to the number of parent or child relationships. We can start at a very, very, very aggregated high level and drill all the way down to detail information. And really, your data is going to dictate how many links that might be. Let's see, I think one other good question. What if there are two salespeople named Callahan? We can use logic like using specific identifiers as opposed to a last name, or using multiple fields to ensure you get the right match for that report. Couple options there. Can the drill down reports be run on their own? Absolutely. These are all just advanced reports, so you can certainly interact with them on their own. They'll, of course, be unfiltered if you were to run them by themselves.
So I can show you that.
Beautiful.
So this is what you get when you don't have a filter. This is every single order that was placed. So yes, because a drill down report is just that. It is a report. It can be run, but obviously there is no filter on the employee that placed the order.
Okay, great. Tim, I think that's good for now. You can keep going. Thanks for giving me the spot.
Oh, no, thanks to everyone who's asking excellent questions. Okay. So the second way that we can customize links, because remember, the first way that we build a linked report is to use Exago's default linking behavior. The first way that we can customize our links is by defining the fields. And now the second way we can customize links, and what I'm considering the third way of linking reports, is to conditionally drill down to child reports. Up to now, when we created our link, we created that link for every row that appears on the report. So if I go to my employee orders totals report, I can drill down from every employee. But let's say we only wanted to link under a certain condition. And we'll go to my product listing. I'll run this one. Now here is a listing of all of the products in a particular category. This report will allow me to drill down to see a list of suppliers if there are items on order or if the available stock on hand is less than the particular product's reorder level. And this is going to answer someone's question. Now, I've used another technique here that might be helpful when building linked reports. I've applied some conditional formatting on cells to indicate which ones can be clicked. You'll notice that some of them are black and others are blue with underline. And you'll also notice that my cursor changes to a hand when I go over the ones that look like links. In this case, if I can drill down on a product, it will have an underline and a blue font color. This is not required, but it makes it easier on those reading the reports to know where they can and cannot drill down for more detail. Okay, so how do we do that? We'll head back to the Advanced Report Designer to find out. Okay, so we'll click on the product name cell and then click on the linked report icon in the top right corner to edit the link. And we're going to change to the Formula tab. And I'll expand this open a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. Now this tab looks a lot like the formula editor built into the report designer, if you're familiar with that component. And what we need to do in this tab is write a formula that returns either true or false. A true value would mean that we can link, and a false value would mean that there is no link for a particular detail row. So this formula here will return true if either the number of units on order is greater than 0, or if the number of units in stock is less than or equal to the reorder level. Otherwise, it returns false. So let's check Exago's work. I can drill down on Alice Mutton because the number of units in stock is 0, and that's less than the number of units that I must have to be fully stocked, which is 1. So it looks like I need to place an order with my friend Ian at Pavlova Limited. Now I cannot drill down on Pâté Chinois because we only need to keep 4.5 pounds on hand, and I've got a whole bunch more than that, so no need to place an order. So we reviewed what a linked report is. I've demonstrated linking to reports and linking to dashboards, and how to create linked reports with Exago's 3 different linking mechanisms. So I'd like to open the floor now to any questions that anyone has. Use the questions pane on the screen, and Emma and I will answer them for you. All right, let me see if I can jump in here.
All right, Tim, I think we're doing okay. And I
Great.
think that we have covered most of the questions that are good for the group. I'm wrapping up just a couple responses here, but I think we're doing all right.
Excellent. All right. So if anyone else thinks of any questions along the way, go ahead, post it, and we'll try to answer it before the end of the call. Okay. So before I let you go, wanted to make sure you know that as you venture off into your environment and start drilling down into your own data, that you are not alone. Our official product documentation is freely available on our support site, exagosupport.com, as well as built right into the application. Both our support and services departments are available to help with any trouble you may encounter along the way. You can get a hold of them by visiting that same site, exagosupport.com, or by reaching out to your customer success manager. Our next administrator support lab, coming up in May, is on the scheduler queue. Exago's scheduler service allows reports to be scheduled to run at certain times, or for report execution to be offloaded to remote servers. The scheduler queue is an extensibility feature that allows you to extend the scheduler service and accomplish things such as meeting high availability standards, load balancing, or providing redundancy when multiple scheduler services are running in your environment. Travis McGrath, our Vice President of Client Experience, will be presenting that lab, so be on the lookout for our social media and website posts of the date and a link to register. With that being said, again, thank you for participating in today's support lab. This will be my last call for any questions, and if there are none, have a great day, everyone. Be sure to cover your cough, wash your hands, and be safe and healthy. All right. Again, thanks everyone. Goodbye. Have a great rest of the week and a pleasant weekend.